Guys! So today I wanted to do a drugstore tutorial for an everyday look, which is out of my zone, but I'm gonna do the best I can. And a lot of my stuff that I have here is drugstore. Some of it isn't, so for those products, I'll let you know. So yeah, I'm just gonna get straight into it. It's been a rough day. So first, I'm going to start off with primer, and I'm going to be using this one by Rimmel. This is drugstore. You can find this at Walmart, unless it was discontinued. I haven't seen it for a while, so it's the Lasting Finish Breathable Primer. Yeah, ultra lightweight skin perfecting primer, and this is water based, so if you use foundation, make sure it's water-based foundation. I've learned that the hard way. You can tell just by the ingredients. If the first ingredient is water, then it's water-based. If the first ingredient is like silicone or anything with silicone or that sounds like silicone, it's silicone-based, so it would be best with silicone-based primers. So, this one I've used for a while. It's been a little bit because I've been trying other primers. But this is kind of like my holy grail. I haven't seen it in a while, so it has me kind of worried that it's been discontinued. So, next, I wanted to touch on color correcting. I do color correct sometimes, very rarely. So I have the green to block out redness in my face. And this is the one from LA Colors, the PRO.concealer. And it's kind of like a brush tip looking thing, like it's weird, and then there's the product. If you can see that. It's weird. And so I apply that on my face. So if you don't know what color correcting is, because some people don't, you look at a color wheel, and if there's a color you want to cancel out on your face, then you use the opposite color. So for redness, you would cancel it out with green, or with under eyes especially. Oh, by the way, this is a Morphe sponge. Thought you might want to know. So if you have blue tinted under eyes, you would use, I believe, a peach. If you have purple like mine, you would use yellow. And that's how, I mean, you're gonna apply foundation over top of it, so it doesn't really matter. But some people do it just to block it out anyway. I gotta keep looking down at the mirror. I noticed with my other videos, I keep looking here instead of here. And I keep looking down. I apologize for that. I just have to get everything neatened up. And so I put that over to the side. And my drugstore stuff. So for foundation, I'm gonna be using the LA Girl PRO.matte in the shade Ivory. And I've already applied primer. Some people color correct and then put primer, which doesn't make any sense to me, but I don't know. It is what it is. So, just gonna pump that out. I don't use this foundation very often, so I used to use it a lot with my Born This Way foundation. And I used to mix it, and it looked really pretty. For some reason, I just stopped. Yeah. We're just gonna cover all that. Cover my nose. And this is pretty inexpensive This foundation was only like $6, $7, I think. And this shouldn't be too long of a video. It should be quick and to the point. I will, if there's any interruptions, I will try to edit it. Just a little. I will add a title. So by the time I'm talking about it, the title would already be on the screen. I really want to add a title to my videos now. Just because it just makes everything look more professional, even though I am by no means a professional. Okay. Okay, so foundation's done. It's not bad. For my first concealer, if you don't know, I do use 2 concealers. For my first one, this is not drugstore. No. This is the NARS Creamy Concealer in the shade Chantilly, which I have used this before a whole bunch of times. I quite like it. It's kind of like Tarte Shape Tape, but it's more of a cream than a liquid. It's weird. It's really super creamy. Like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like it's like the ones that you get in the pot in the little jars. But it's in like this packaging, which I like a lot more than the pots. I just don't. It's just a pain to try and get those out of, especially if you don't have a concealer brush. Okay, and so I have my concealer sponge, and I'm gonna blend. And I do go over my eyes with the concealer because I kind of use that as a primer. Sometimes I use the NYX eyeshadow base, sometimes I just use concealer. It depends on what kind of look I'm going for. I have been liking the ColourPop No Filter Concealer a lot more than the NYX one. It just depends on what your preferences are and what you're trying to do. Oh man, that inner corner's gonna be a pain. Okay. So for my next one, this is kind of drugstore. It's the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop Concealer in the shade Pale, which is, I think it's like the second lightest, because I think they do have a white concealer. So this is like for super, super fair. I use this to highlight. I mean, I'm already white enough. Why would I need to highlight? But this look, like, especially if you do natural look, like, natural looks, you definitely want to highlight your face because you don't have, like, bright eyeshadow to cover it up. So when you have, like, neutral colors, people seem to notice little tiny things about you, which is annoying, but By the way, with this concealer, you don't need a lot. As you can see, that little bit just went all the way up my face. And still gone. And it does dry fairly quickly. So, just keep that in mind if you ever use this concealer. The one that I have compared it to is to the Fenty Beauty concealer. They're both a little bit different, but they're both kind of the same. It's weird. It's like they're the same because they both dry very quickly, but as far as formula wise, there's just a slight difference. I like both of them. You know, I could use either or if it came down to it, so that doesn't bother me at all. Okay, so for setting the under eyes, I have the Maybelline Fit Me powder in the shade 05. And I'm not going to do like what I normally do with the sponge and pack it on. I'm going to try something a little different on camera. So if it looks wonky, forgive me. I'm going to take the BH Cosmetics Marble Collection brush in the shade, or in the brush number 2. Or in number 2 brush. English. And this powder was also pretty inexpensive. So I'm going to make sure there aren't any creases. And on my eyes too, because I'm going to do this all kind of in one thing. And I'm going to pack it and brush it on top and pack it underneath. And I'm not adding a lot of powder, I'm actually tapping off the excess. And I'm sweeping it on. And then I have, make sure there, whoops, almost hit myself in the eye. Make sure there aren't any creases. And then I have the powder on my brush. And I'm going to sweep it along very lightly. Like I literally have my fingertips like towards the end. And I'm just tapping it and sweeping it. And I just put the powder in the lids mostly, unless they're shakers, like the Fenty Beauty or the Huda Beauty one. I usually shake them up, and then what I do is if there's too much powder, I put it in the lid, and then just use what's on the lid. I just find it better that way, and as you can tell, kind of have to make a funny face. But this is like, this helps like with especially under eye creases. And sometimes it creases on me a little bit, and what I'll do is I'll take the powder out of like the top that's kind of sitting there and kind of go like this just to make sure that crease is filled up. And this is like my natural day, like natural go-to thing. I know a lot of people don't like natural. I'm just doing this for people who like the everyday person. Next for my powder to set my face is the Airspun Extra Full Coverage. If you see my other tutorials, it's the same powder. I mean, I haven't changed it. It is a holy grail of mine. It has saved me plenty of times. I mean, plenty of times. And for that, I am going to use the number 1 brush, which is Big Fluffy. It's really soft. I like it. I was stoked when I got these. Because I never had anything from BH Cosmetics. I had their, It's My Ray palette. I like that palette. I just don't use it as often because I don't do a lot of natural looks. But like their BH Cosmetics, or their, Take Me Back to Brazil palette, and then the palette I'm using today are amazing. And they're not found at like Walmart or anything. They're mostly found at Ulta, but they have drugstore price. And if you go on their website, they always have a sale going on. I'm just dusting the powder on. Normally, I would set it like with a sponge and whatever. But I'm not really feeling that. So, and I know a lot of people don't have time for that, to let it sit there for 5 minutes or whatever. That's the trash truck outside if you hear that on the video. Okay. Let me get all of my stuff organized. And also for this look, I will be using drugstore brushes, which are the BH Cosmetics marble brushes. They are drugstore priced, so I think the whole set was like 30 something, I believe. Trying to let that balance. Okay, so we're done with that powder. I mean, when you first look at it, it looks kind of powdery, but once we put setting spray, it'll be fine. So, actually, since I had that out, I'm going to go back in with the Airspun powder and put stuff underneath, put powder underneath, because I know that this will have fallout. So this time I am going to take my sponge, I'm going to load it up with powder, and I'm going to lightly, like, tap it under. So then later on, once all that fallout comes out, all I have to do is sweep it away. Jeez, trash truck, you think you could be any louder? I am just gonna set my creases. I get paranoid. Does anybody else have this problem where you get paranoid, like foundation's gonna crease around your nose or around your mouth? Like, I feel like that happens all the time with me. And then I have to go and, like, I have my emergency makeup bag in my car, and I have to go in and just put extra powder on there. Alright, well, now that we have everything together, they're gonna need some new brakes. Okay, back in business. So I'm going to start off my eyes with the Ulta Beauty Single Shadow in the shade Pure Snow. And I'm going to take the number 7 brush, just this one. I'm going to dig in and cover my whole eyes with this, from brow to lid, with white. That should be good. Okay. Put that over to the side. That one I don't need yet. So for eyes today, I'm going to be using the BH Cosmetics Sylvia Gani collab. I think that's Gani. Just please forgive me. Sylvia's palette. Let's just go with Sylvia. And this is what it looks like. I think it just got to Ulta, but my half-sister gave me this for Christmas. So, thank you, sis. I use this every day, so it's well used. Actually, before the marble collection, I hate how these numbers rubbed off. But I do use it a lot. But it's a brush that looks like this. So if you have a brush similar to this, it'll work. I'm going to use that. And these eyeshadows do have a lot of fallout. I will say that. And I do try to collect it all on my brush instead of like having more fallout coming. By the way, I'm going to take this peachy shade and go into the crease. And that's why I added the extra powder, because I know that these are going to fall out. Don't get me wrong, they're good. It's just they have a lot of fallout. I'm just going to put this in the crease. Now, I added powder over my eyes so it's not as pigmented, so I kind of have to layer it. Even so, it's a light eyeshadow anyway, so... I mean, this stuff is like... I don't think you can tell on camera, but there is a lot of fallout. Like... It's a lot. By the way, if you do clients, don't blow on your stuff. Don't do what I do. I only do this because I know I'm going to be the only one using this, and this is mine. Like, all this is mine. And so, that's the only reason I do it. God, it's so much fun. Oh, man. Got it on my shirt. I got one of my favorite shirts that I got at Walmart. Okay. Oh man, so much fun. Got all over my shirt. It's a good shirt. Okay, so for the next color, I'm gonna take Obsessed, which is like a mauve-y kind of like neutral kind of brown. Yeah. So I'm going to take that on the brush. And I mean, you don't need a lot with this either. I'm going to take it and put it right a little bit below where I put Say What, which is that peach shade. My voice is giving out on me. And it's kind of like Say What, but it's a more mauve gray kind of tone. But they complement each other so well. So as you can see, that really not darkened it too much, but just naturally. Candy time. Oh wait, these don't have sayings on them. Have you ever got the Dove chocolate and you open it up and it has the message? That's what I thought that was. Oh boy. They should do that for like Hershey Kisses and anything wrapped. They should just put messages in them. That would be so cool. Okay, so next I'm going to take, now that we have this far, what brush do I want to use? I'm going to use a different brush. I don't believe I've used this brush on camera. To my knowledge, I haven't. I could be wrong. But this is a brush from Avon. This is, I think, the eyeshadow brush. It's kind of like a dome-shaped little detail brush. And I'm going to take the Ulta Beauty single eyeshadow in the shade Suede, which is pretty brown. And this isn't like a dark pigmented brown. This is kind of like a, it's still brown, but it's not that pigmented. It's just enough to get somewhere. And so I'm going to take this and go on the outer part of the lid. Into the crease just a little bit, just like halfway. And as you can tell, there is a lot of fallout. Now with these you can layer, but I don't know how I feel about layering these. Okay. I'm gonna go back in with the shade Obsessed from the BH Cosmetics palette. And I'm gonna blend that brown out. I'm gonna kind of right on the edge of it, on the outer V, where I had it on the little bit on the end of my eyelid. I'm gonna blend it. That's the generator. Oh, you're just gonna have to hear that. Okay, so now, because I had that brown as an overlay, I'm gonna take the shade Bare, which is pretty dark brown down here. And I'm gonna take the tiniest bit and tap off the excess. And put that in the outer V. Just a little bit on the end, like where you have the brown, just right on that outer edge. And blend it with the brown. You're not going in the crease, you're just going on the outer part of the eyelid where the brown was. And you're just gonna blend those two together. And then to blend everything together, I'm gonna take Say What, which is that peach shade, and go where it was and just gently blend everything together. And then above that, I'm going in the BH Cosmetics palette, and I'm gonna take the shade Wolf, which is a light nude shade, like a skin tone shade, and I'm gonna go right halfway in my brow and blend everything out. Now normally I don't use this color, but recently I've been using it more. It's super pretty. And for the eyelids, you can leave it like this and just put on mascara, liner, and then just hit the road. I want to do something a little bit more fancy, because that's just how I am. I tend to be a little fancy. And so this is not drugstore, but there is a drugstore version. This is the Stila Shimmer and Glow Liquid Eyeshadow in the shade Starlight. That's what it looks like. Oops, I have it upside down. It's kind of like a champagne color. Now, there are really good dupes. The Milani one, they're pretty good. I have one in there, but it won't go with this look. They're pretty good. There's Pure Cosmetics, which isn't drugstore, but it's kind of like the same thing. And there's a couple other dupes. You can find it on other channels, or somebody else probably has one. So I'm going to take this. This isn't like the glitter. This is just the shimmer part. I'm going to take this, and I'm going to cut my crease. So basically what that means is I'm going to take it, put it on top, and make it look pretty. Like that. With these, you can make it look like a cut crease without actually having to cut your crease, which is nice. Because for me, cutting the crease isn't hard, but for others, it may be difficult. So this makes everything so much easier. And like as soon as you apply it, you get full on pigment. Family is home, so they are making a lot of noise. I'm just gonna let that be, but normally I would like explode. Normally I try to take my stuff seriously, but in this case, you know, it's been a long day. It's been rough. I'm just not bothered with it. So I'm just letting this dry a little bit. It doesn't need that long to dry. It dries pretty quick. So to blend out the edges, because as you can see it's kind of harsh, I'm going to go back in with the shade Bare, which is that dark brown color from the BH Cosmetics palette. Tap that off. And I'm going to blend out those edges. And if you notice like something like this, like where you put the brown over or a color over and it kind of like looks patchy, just take your finger and just rub over it like back and forth like this, and that'll help it blend better. Normally I don't use my fingers, but sometimes you just have to make it look good. And then going back in with Obsessed, which is that mauve-y color, I'm gonna go back and gently over top of that gold champagne shimmer. And what I'm trying to do is get it to blend in with the eye look, so it doesn't look like one straight cut crease, because you want this kind of natural. Now, if you don't want to have like the shimmer or whatever, after you're done doing the eyes, as far as the crease and everything, you can go like that, or you can take a shimmer shade, any kind of shimmer shade, and just put it on your eyes and then go. It's up to you. And now, to blend everything together, I'm going to take I'm going back in with Say What, and going to blend that out all because the last step is we're gonna blend Wolf, which is that nude shade, and blend out those edges a little bit more. It doesn't need a lot. By the way, I know my brushes are dirty. Hopefully by next video I will have it done. You just want to take Wolf or that nude shade and blend the outer edges. You don't want to go like over top everything you just did, because that would be awful. You just want to blend. And that's about it for eyes. I mean, we're gonna put on mascara. We're not gonna put on falsies. If you want to put on falsies, go ahead. I'm doing the natural look, so to get rid of this fallout, I'm taking a fluffy brush. Take these. And I'm going to get rid of all this fallout. I always have to check, like after I get that swipe, I always have to double check in this mirror just to make sure that nothing got left behind. I've never had any issues like that, but I mean, I know some people who have, and I don't want to be one of those people, no offense. Okay, this is what we have. I'm still not done with that haul. It's so good. Okay, so for my under eyes, if I can find my brush, I know it's in here somewhere. It seems like no matter how hard I organize my stuff, I can't find anything. Because I have no idea where that brush went. Excuse me for the cough. Alright, fine then. We're just gonna have to use this. This is not drugstore, but this is the type of brush that I'm looking for, or that you may need, or may not need. I am dropping everything on the floor. Oh my goodness. This does not help me any because I am fat. Okay? It is very difficult when you're a fat person. But I gotta say. Oh, here's the brush. It was right here on the floor. Alright, maybe it's not so bad trying to lift things up when you're fat. Okay, so this is the one that I've used. This is the flat liner brush by Clinique? Chic? I have no idea how to pronounce that, but this is it. So first, I am going to use Say What on the bottom lash line. You don't have to do this. I do this because it just fits my eyes more. I pick this, put it right under my eyelash line. And this is a light shade, so it may not show up. I'm putting this down to blend the darker shades over top. I can't get over how much fallout that has. Like, that's insane. Next, I'm gonna take Obsessed. I'm gonna put this right in the outer part here of my lower lash line. And this is just to connect everything. And And then I'm going to take it and blend it a little. Just like that. That's about it for that. Okay. I have to make sure I put everything back after I'm done with it because I tend to lose things easily, which is not fun. Because then, like, during another tutorial, if I need that something, I try to have everything laid out ahead of time, but it doesn't always work. It's kind of like on the spot recording. So it doesn't always turn out like I would like it to. Just putting some of the stuff away. Alright. For eyelashes, I'm using my eyelash curler. This is from Rimmel or L'Oreal. I can't remember which one it is, but it looks like this. And I'm going to curl my lashes because I'm not wearing falsies. Even if I was, I would still curl them. But today I want them extra, extra curled. And also for this look, I'm not adding eyeliner. You can very much add eyeliner. If you would like eyeliner, go ahead. One I would recommend getting. It's not that one. Well, there is this one. It's not the best one. There is this one by Wet n Wild. The Felt Tip Pro Line eyeliner. This stuff will stay with you through a thunderstorm, through a life crisis. Anything. That has been my holy grail until recently. I've been using the Stila one, but this is all drugstore, so we don't need to worry about that. Okay, well, not everything's been drugstore, but close enough to drugstore. So this mascara is pretty old. I haven't used this in a while. I don't even know if they make this anymore. But this is the Clinique High Impact Mascara. This is 5 years old. So if you're out and about, don't apply mascara that's 5 years old. Listen to the back of it. This was 6 months. So this is not a good idea. Do not try this. Do not try this. Use a mascara that you have that is good. I'm doing this because it's almost out anyway. I don't need this. It's almost done. If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. You know. YOLO. Is that even still a thing? YOLO? I don't know. This is a really good mascara. Mascara. People say it differently. I say mascara because that's the only thing, that's what I was raised on it being called, is mascara. Could be an accent too. Like, I noticed that with my accent, sometimes I say Louisiana. And people are like, what is that? I'm like, Louisiana? They're like, what are you saying? Or when I talk about New Orleans, they say New Orleans. With some words, you can hear my accent. Oh good, the generator's off. And my family's still making noise. Oh well. Oh boy. Okay. This is the mascara. Don't do this. I know the risks that come with it. Don't do this. Just don't. I'm doing this, don't do this. Oh, we're almost done and I'm only 25 minutes in. I'm so excited. I know my other tutorials are pretty long, but... So, for my brow product, this is not drugstore. This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz. In the shade Granite, if you're curious. I do... Brow products for me, they're not really a hit or miss. It's kind of like whatever your preference is. You know? Some people like natural brows, some people like Instagram brows, some people like brows. Like, I'm not very particular. My brows are uneven anyway, naturally. Like, you can tell, like, this one's short and fat, this one's long in length. Like, I gave up on trying to make them even. Even now they look a little wonky. It's like, it looks like straight. Close enough. It doesn't matter. You know? Sisters, not twins. I am taking the spoolie in and I am gonna kind of blend it. Man, that brow looks terrible. I don't care. Natural everyday look. This is natural. This is everyday. When I do wear makeup, I do my brows, but I don't have to. Like, my eyebrows are very much bushy and dark and full. Okay. Almost there. We're getting there. Yeah, we're getting there. So, for blush, I'm using the Pro Artist Blush Palette from Style Essentials. And I'm going to take my blush brush. It is stained. I'm going to take this shade right here. I'm going to put that on my brush. And I'm going to hope for the best. Now, I do have some powder foundation in case this goes really bad. But for this blush in particular, just this shade, seems to be more of a natural shade for me. Which is odd, because normally blushes are really hard for me to find that fit me. Like, you know, if you have fair skin and then you put on blush and it looks like you're Snow White, like with the rosy cheeks, or you look like a clown, one of the two. And these do kind of have a little bit of a luminosity. Kind of. I'm still gonna add highlighter. Don't worry, there's drugstore highlighter. You better believe I'm gonna be highlighting. Amen to some highlight. Okay. So for bronzer, this is no, you know, this is no different. This is the butter bronzer from Physicians Formula. Oh, that smells so good. If you don't know this product, you need to go out and get it. It smells like coconuts and it smells so good. And it's drugstore, so. Now this one tends to be more orange on me. But I like the orange more than I like the cooler tone. The cooler tone for me just makes me look dead. I mean, I know I'm casket ready already because I'm that white, but I don't need cool tone stuff to add on to it. Maybe for Halloween. Maybe. But I usually scare everybody anyway. When I don't wear makeup, oh, I look like Frankenstein's wife. Like, I look terrible. I mean, all that natural beauty stuff, like, have you seen, like, me without makeup? It's not a pretty picture. People at work know that. They say I'm pretty, but it's, man. Okay, so for the other part of this that I'm going to do, it's a little different. I'm going to take the Wet n Wild pressed powder. This is not a very good powder. In my opinion, this is not a good powder. This, just the packaging doesn't look, just, it's dome shaped. So it has like this piece in here where it's like a dome. It makes it so hard to get product out. And the powder itself doesn't last that long. This was not good. Their coverall powder that they used to have at like Five Below, that was good powder. I wish they came back out with that. Anyway, it doesn't matter, but this is their pressed powder in the shade Warm Light. I'm going to use this and get the powder. You can't really tell because there's, there you go. And I'm going to carve out my cheekbone softly, which is why you want to use a really bad powder. Because if you use a really good powder and a really pigmented powder, then it's going to sharpen it too much. But if you use a not so good powder, it works. And that just gives a natural kind of soft curve, if you will. Are we already on highlighter? Oh my god. Already on highlight. Man, I was flying through. So, for highlight, I'm going to be using two highlighters that are drugstore-ish. This one's definitely drugstore. This is the e.l.f. Baked Highlighter in the shade Moonlight Pearl. I used to use this all the time. Of course, you can't really tell, but I did, I swear. So I'm gonna take this on my usual highlighting brush. I'm gonna get a lot on there. I take highlighting very seriously. There we go. That's a little better. I'm going to put this on my upper cheekbones. And this one's like a natural glow from within highlight. It's like a glittery highlight. So it's not that blinding, like not like my other ones. I kind of fell out of love with this years ago because it just doesn't have that effect that I like. Like the natural glow from within, it looks good, but I need to spice it up. So for that, I have the Ulta Beauty highlighter in the shade Brilliant Diamond, which is a white. It's straight up white. And I'm going to take a little bit of that, tap off the excess, and I'm going to put that over top. Just enough to bring out that e.l.f. highlighter. I'm so happy I decided to use this. Like for a while, I stopped using this. I was like, Kayla, why? If you don't know, my real name is Kayla. Not Cash. Cash is just a stage name. There's not very many Kaylas out there. Am I the only Kayla out there? Like, hello? I only knew one other girl with the name Kayla. Or 2 girls with the name Kayla. What's up with that, man? It's not a bad name. My middle name is a terrible middle name. I don't like my middle name. Not the name itself. I like the name, just not as my middle name. Don't like talking about it. I'm going back in with that e.l.f. highlighter, and I'm going right over top of that Brilliant Diamond Ulta Beauty one. And the reason why I do this is because it does have like a glittery finish to it. And I still want that e.l.f. highlighter to be prominent. And the, you know, I do like my highlights. It's just this one's more glittery, and I'm not a big fan of glittery. Like, I like the wet looking one, like the over highlighters. Those are by far my favorite highlighters. I don't have Jeffree Star's highlighters, so don't come for me. I am a huge fan of Jeffree Star, if you don't know already. A lot of, like, even in my past tutorials, I talk about him. I even did a tutorial on the Blue Blood palette. Or collection, I should say. I did kind of like a drugstore version, kind of like my own thing. I'm taking a tissue and I do need to clean my brushes, so by next video, my brushes should be clean. Because they do need to be cleaned. I do a lot of makeup. Okay, so that's about it except for lips. So for lips, this is not drugstore, but you can use drugstore stuff. This is the Bare Minerals liquid lipstick in the shade Wink. Like, drugstore wise, you could use the Maybelline matte ink. Or you can just use a regular lipstick from Maybelline. Or any lipstick you like. Drugstore. Or if you don't want drugstore, another good one is the Too Faced Melted Matte formula. And then if you're not into that, you could always go to Jeffree Star. Jeffree Star has some really pretty nudes. I don't personally have any of his nudes because every time I go shopping on his site or when I look through, I can never find a nude. They're always sold out. So I just don't worry about it. So I have this one. And I'm not going to fully exfoliate my lips this time. I've already, you know, they're already smooth. I don't bother with it if my lips are smooth. So I'm going to take this. And this does smell like chocolate. Vanilla. Cupcake. Oh, that's so good though. I don't know how to describe it. And then this formula. It's like a matte, like whipped formula. Like, it's so weird. But it's so good at the same time. I always do that after I do my lips. I don't know. I'm a freak. What do you want me to... That's just how I am. Okay, so for setting spray, I am going to take the Morphe Continuous Setting Spray. This was $16, so this is drugstore priced. Another good one is the NYX Dewy Finish. This is like $9. Actually, I'm going to use the NYX one instead. I'm going to use this one instead, because I did say mostly drugstore. It wouldn't be fair if I... Even though Morphe is drugstore priced, this is cheaper. Yes. Okay, let me get you off this tripod. Okay, so this is what it looks like in natural light. I have to take all this off, or take these blinds down. I usually have them closed. Alright, so that's what it looks like. Very natural. That's about it. I mean, pretty everyday stuff. I may do a video on my setup, even though you can see it mostly, but I should be having that up soon. Maybe. I may need to get a new table. I'll have to see, but whenever that is up, I'll do more makeup looks before that happens, so. That's about it. There's nothing else. So you guys just have an amazing day and just chill.